Here we are again on the 5-Minute Bark. We've got another exciting episode here today. We're going to be getting a little deep here today. We've got Lisa Marie
Anzaldua.
All right. She's saying her own last name so I don't mess it up on the show here today. So yes, we're on the 5-Minute Bark, everybody. Listeners, we appreciate you coming here and listening to us on a daily basis. We're over 50 episodes now, and it's been really exciting. We've had Lisa Marie on the show before, and we thought we just wanted to do more. So we came back to the microphones here today. We tuned them up, and they're ready to listen to some good stuff here today on the show. So we're going to first off, if you haven't heard the last episode with her, because I know you didn't, because I didn't release it yet, but we're going to introduce her here today and have her tell you a little bit about her and her background. Here we go.
Well, I was a designer. I guess I still am a designer, but throughout my life, my personal challenges forced me to sort of research, not sort of, but intensely research the world of not only spirituality per se, but about psychology and physiology, physics and personal development. And so I've with that for the past 6 years, I've in retrospect, I've looked back at the process and what it was that specifically that assisted me to overcome my greatest internal challenges. And that's led to now the book that I've written in coaching. I coach clients, life transformation coaching.
So your whole life you've been in search of knowledge.
Oh yeah. Oh
awesome.
yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Since you were younger, or?
Absolutely.
Okay. And
always very, very keen awareness of nuances and emotions, people around me, and also keen awareness of, I think it's a very human condition where we just want to see the best in others and in ourselves and to expand and grow, and that there's always something, even if it is pleasant where you are, there's always a level of wanting to expand and grow. And I always saw, growing up, I always saw the potential that it could be so much more. Not that I wasn't content with what I was experiencing for the most part, but my point being that I, from a very young age, I just had that intuitive knowing, and I never stopped wanting to grow and be the best whole person that we could possibly be.
It's just so great to ever, I get the word I want to use is ever learn. Like we want to learn more, and as soon as we learn more, we want to just kind of pile up more on top of that. And it's really exciting to understand. I guess that's why we're on this planet, is to just learn, grow, experience, share, and be appreciative, right?
It's it's our purpose. Yeah, really.
And it's really neat that we're able to kind of be in touch with that instead of just kind of like aimlessly bouncing around in a square room and hitting the wall and bouncing back. Sort
of an unconscious and where other people sort of dictate your life and your state of being. Right. That's sort of the default way. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Tell us about the book.
Well, it's called The Arete Process.
Did you handwrite it?
It's considering how long it's taken me to write it, I think you would think so. But it's a process. There are 3 layers of personal integration that I walk people through: cognitive, obviously, emotional, and the spiritual components of self. And it's integrating elements of unresolved emotional experiences, and essentially it focuses upon 6 layers of our paradigm. What constitutes our belief system? Where do these come from? And I think in my case, I know for sure that until I was able to figure out the source point of my beliefs that were creating my conditions, I wasn't able to resolve them, no matter how positive I was thinking. I needed to figure out the ones that were hidden, the layers that were hidden and that were controlling my choices. So I figured out there are 6 components of self that create our paradigm, and there's a way to expose them only for the purpose of acknowledging them and choosing a different belief and moving forward, not to hold on to them as if you're a victim.
Right.
Because it does talk a lot about emotional past experiences that were unresolved and stored in our emotional bodies. So, but that's only the second layer. And then there's first layer. The second layer of awareness is of your brilliance, of your greatness, and how you are a creator, and we can create our lives. We're just not aware of it. And so this book brings that, as many books do, on the subject, but in the way that I perceived it, in the way that was effective for me and clients since then.
So the awareness, and then there's, you said 6?
Yeah, 6 layers. There are 6 layers.
So number 1 layer is?
Unresolved emotional memories. That
Unresolved
are stored.
emotional memories.
Yeah.
And number 2 was, we just did it?
No. So I'm sorry. So there's 6 layers within the first. There are 6 components within the first layer of awareness that I walk clients through.
Okay.
And so those 6 components of our paradigm, put it that way, that together they create your paradigm. And I've dissected.
No, that's good. I
each
love
of
this.
those
Keep going.
6. Okay. And then I walk the client through, or in the book and with clients, I walk them through each of those layers until they've integrated those emotional experiences and then are able, from that point of wholeness, are able to change their perception of it. And once the perception of it changes, their belief structure changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then beyond that, so that's the first step. The second phase is the second layer of awareness, and that is of your brilliance, of your ability to create your life, way more than we realize, at least for myself. That also constitutes many components as well. Mm-hmm.
So you've done all this work for yourself, on yourself, for yourself, on yourself, with yourself, for years and years and years. Yeah. And now you're in a different place in your life, right?
Yeah.
What are the most remarkable differences you can kind of feel or deal with or experience from, say, 10 years ago?
Sure. Oh, wow. I was so... what's the word? Miserable. Miserable. I just, when you're not being your authentic self, when you're being when you're allowing an external locus of control dictate who you are, you're assuming a personality, you're assuming a career, you're assuming these things that have nothing to do with your authentic self, which is what resonates with you, your higher self, your spirit. And if you're trying to please others, or just by default assuming that you've got to go along with what everyone, your parents, your society, your church, whatever, is dictating for you, you're not being your authentic self, and that is where as I mentioned before, your most authentic self is where your greatest power resides. Right. So I had zero, at least in my. My experience was so powerless. Your perception. So powerless. I mean, it was just.
So you were basically, I'm trying to visualize this and trying to help the listeners kind of go through this, and they may already know, but so if they don't, but I'm just kind of feeling like I'm in this crowd, and I'm in a city, and I'm on the city block, and I'm just all in with these people, and I'm just kind of being pushed to where I need to go, and eventually I get pushed over to the elevator and up into my job, and I get in there, and I'm handed a list of things to do, and they're not really. I mean, that's kind of how people live their life. They just kind of, they're pushed into church, they're pushed into this, they're pushed into that, they're pushed into relationships. Yes. My clock's ready to go. I got to get married. I got to have a kid. Oh my God. What the hell? Exactly. What the heck did I just do?
Exactly.
Not that marriage was bad. I'm just saying it just ended there, but.
Right. Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. That's when the only way anyone could possibly intentionally design their lives is if. And it's not just about knowing clearly what you want. It's about allowing your authentic self to come forth, to guide you. So when you're being pushed and shoved and molded, like I was what I was allowing was to, I started pursuing a career in design, but the signs were all there. I was not excelling at the speed that I knew I could. And as far as in a professional setting, I wasn't happy. I wasn't energized at the end of the day, per se. All these very clear clues. So someone who's being pushed on a train into this, he's getting nudges along the way that this doesn't feel right, this isn't quite right, and then you try to analyze it and rationalize and talk your way out of it. And no, this is fine. Everyone thinks this is okay. And then you ultimately end up doing something that isn't resonant with your spirit, even though.
Well, once all this happens, you kind of find yourself alone. Then you go, oh my God, I got some alone time. But I'm just so caught up in what I just did all day long that wasn't what I wanted to do, that I don't even have the energy to do what I want to do. Right? Yeah. And
energy's a clear sign.
And the alarm clock goes off. It's 8 p.m. You got to go to bed because you have to get the kids up in the morning, and you got to go do it all again. Yeah. And or you got to, meeting at 6 a.m.
The most challenging part of that is that'd be fine in and of itself if you didn't have this higher awareness that this isn't right. Right. So it's almost like it's counterintuitive, but you want that awareness because it's purposeful. It's trying to tell you there's another opportunity for you. But sometimes people are and what I found that I was extremely keenly aware that that I was unhappy, that I was powerless, so then you create this cycle of, oh my God, now I'm so powerless. I feel helpless. I feel like a victim. And then you feel stuck. So then you reach for this abstract aspiration, and you try to reach for it, and you can't, and you can't, and you can't, and you keep repeating patterns and cycles of the present that are miserable for you. There are ranges. But so then that abstract aspiration is actually your greatest source of frustration. And that's what the feeling of being stuck is, and I felt like ropes were tied around my legs. Like, why can't I flourish and reach my potential? What is going on here? So then I realized, through research, through many years of research and through personal, really putting myself in it and really active learning, I realized, well, there are the layer upon layer of things that are in our
exactly what you mean.
Yeah, subconscious. And I know subconscious isn't everything, but it's a lot.
Yes. It's really interesting obviously I get to interview people like you every day, and I just interviewed somebody before you. We just had miraculous breakthroughs in what we were thinking about and talking about, and awareness, because I know something, he knows something, you know something, I know something. And if we're open to it and listening, there's opportunity right here in this room right now that's going to open doors in my mind and my life and my openness and whatever. It can go in every direction, but it's just, you have to be listening and aware and present with the whole moment. And it's just amazing that we're here on these microphones, and we can just we can make breakthroughs. We can find opportunity in what's going on in this next 20 minutes in our lives, because you've done all this research. You can share with me, and I've done all this research and talking to people. It's just really cool.
And something in light of what you're saying is, it's funny because what starts to happen once these layers are integrated, these emotional resistance patterns, you could call them, things that are preventing what you want from coming into your life. Once those start to slowly dissolve, or actually they transform really into something more higher and better and more positive, but you start to become aware of what's around you that you hadn't noticed before and had been here all along. And then you start to realize, you'll start to see how you start to create little things, and it starts out really subtle. Well, I don't know how subtle that could be, but it starts out small. And then little by little, you start to build your confidence. Like, wait a second, I do have an element of control over this, So it's funny when you said awareness. I thought, your awareness, literally, your awareness of opportunity for expansion grows. I just saw on I don't know if it's Facebook or somewhere, this guy, this artist is taking photos of people who are on their phones, and he's taking the phones out of their hand, and he's just making this art out of it, and it shows a lady and a woman in bed, their backs are to each other. One's looking at their other phone, the other's looking at the other phone. Kids, there's one's on an iPad, two on the phone, and they're not even talking, they're not even relating. If you just take this right here and we just started grabbing our phones, the disconnect to this communication would just start happening. Yeah. So in life, people, it's so important. I just telling this to a friend of mine who was trying to be a great golfer. He's got the talent. He's got the skills to shoot a professional score. But he gets on the course. He gets himself an opportunity to shoot an eagle, which is like a 2 under par shot. First thing he does is he grabs his phone and takes a picture and texts it to me and says, I got an opportunity at eagle. What happens is you just eliminated your opportunity for eagle, because you've taken your mind that you've just trained to be focused on one object to get an eagle. This is your goal. This is what you want. Here you are. You're taking yourself away from the opportunity by taking the picture of the eagle, because the picture has nothing to do with the eagle. You just want to show off the idea you got the opportunity, but you didn't cash in yet. Interference.
Right.
All these,
your energy gets interfered, right? So we ask for something, it comes to us, and we interfere.
Yes.
Over and over again.
Yes, that's so true. It's like we just didn't. It's almost like that's like disallowing it to happen.
Yep.
You don't realize.
Even though we're like, I've got it figured out now. I can make this putt and make eagle, but it's not how it works.
Yeah.
And you can be in interaction with a person in a room and say, okay, well, that's, I already know this person. They're there, and they're going to just be okay with me on my phone. But you're missing out on opportunity to communicate to
Connect.
learn, to grow. You don't know. I mean, how many times have you been in a room, right, where somebody's talking to you and then you actually pay attention to them and all of a sudden they give you a name of a person that can give you an opportunity for a job.
Right.
That's $10,000 opportunity because you just actually paid attention.
That's right. That's
but
right.
if you were so focused on your email that you have to get done or checking out somebody across the room or whatever, and you weren't present, the opportunity is there. So opportunity is around us all the time.
And presence is the key. Like Eckhart Tolle always, the power of now. It's true, because if our minds his mind was focused on in the future. It was in anticipation for that to happen, or in the past. Either way, if our minds aren't where the only thing that is real is right this second, that's why we're missing the opportunities.
You'll notice that the most wealthy people don't have a Facebook, or they don't have a Twitter. They don't involve themselves in that because that's more distractions, right? And they're able to stay and realize that they need to be focused on what the opportunity is in front of them. And you hang out with those people and you sit there and you talk to them and they just come up with opportunities in front of you. They go, oh my God, how are you so smart? Because they're aware and they're present. Right. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah. I think back to they're clear, they're very aligned with who they really are, their power, and they're clear, so they don't need those other distractions to support their sense of well-being and their sense of self-esteem, and confidence.
Exactly.
And, they're not looking for that external stimuli for that, right?
Absolutely not. They're present. It's really one word, right? So you've been doing research for many years and you've come up with this book and it's done now. It's coming out.
Yeah,
it's published.
I keep ironing out the wrinkles. I've got some friends that are an editor that's
editing.
Yep.
Awesome.
So
I've had a book publisher on my podcast actually.
Oh,
that helps with the assistance of it and marketing of it. So if you ever need that help, I can surely point you in that direction. It's Ani Alexander. She's actually from Armenia, and she's an amazing publisher and writer. She has her own podcast as well. So I can certainly tune you into that. But,
great, thank you.
So what are some other things that people can experience when reading this book?
Well, ultimately, it's offering a shift in your paradigm of reality, in your perception of reality. Because if you're feeling stuck right now, and that's who this is for people who are feeling that. This is an opportunity to iron out the wrinkles, like I've been doing on my book, and to get.
Is the book's name Iron Out the Wrinkles?
It should be.
That might be your name. Iron Out the Wrinkles.
Right.
Put some heat on it and it'll go away.
Yeah. So it's actually it's transformative in the sense that you come to know your own power toward the end of the book, and you can't doubt it. There's nothing that points against, to the contrary.
Right.
So
it's all fact.
Yeah.
And you've practiced the facts over and over again.
Yep.
So when it's all done and
sorry.
Go ahead. No, go.
I forgot to mention, because you said how has life transitioned, and I only left at it was miserable.
That's
but
right.
It's gotten much better is my point.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting. I mean, I know the time it takes and the patience to write a book is amazing itself. And one of that complexity, and to actually diagnose your mind and think about it and other people and experience and put it down and is a lot of work.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder. I don't have a degree in psychology. It's just a passion. It's just, so none of this is, it's not backed by scholarly years, although the research is, but the book itself isn't a scholarly, but anyway. Yeah,
that's okay. And sometimes it means you're untamed.
Yeah, right.
You're wild.
Not confined.
You can think with a wild mind, and that's sometimes better.
Yeah, I agree.
Those people will appreciate it because they couldn't think with the wild mind. Theirs is using procedures to think the process through. You're not using you're using your own process.
My own process. True.
Kind of fun, right?
True. Thank you.
So awesome. Anything else you want to talk? You said 6 layers. Is there names to these 6 layers? I want to kind of hear that.
Okay. Well, I use the acronym pseudo because this is your pseudo self.
Okay.
Because it's this person that this construct, this illusion of who you think you are, based on who you, especially when there are things that aren't serving you is the point. I mean, it would be great if you had this mental construct of yourself that served you all day long. That's not the problem.
Right.
So it's, S is the stored, unresolved memories that we've discussed. So there's a whole process involved in that, and it gets pretty gets pretty deep and heavy and intense. And the purpose is not to stay there, but then to rise in emotional resonance as you go through the process. So you end up, in the end, it's dissolved. Your perception of the past shifts completely, morph towards your benefit. E is external locus of control.
External locus of control.
Where you think conditions are what dictates your emotional resonant, your emotional state of being, when in fact you have the power. As you know, you have the power to control your own emotional state of being. We often think that we can control external circumstances to make us happy, and that people and circumstances should comply with what we want to make us happy, and that's offering them our control, our power. So there's a whole process in that.
Love it.
Should I go through all?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay.
They want to hear it. Do you guys want to hear it?
Yes,
please. Yes.
Oh, I forgot with the P. The P was pseudo, starts with a P, the silent P. That's your paradigm, your paradigm of your, no, I'm sorry. P is the past emotional, memories that you're holding on. S, is self-rejection. Self-rejection. And that's when basically the opposite of self-acceptance. Yep. And the most important part of this is that we have this idea that we're supposed to be, I fell into this trap. You have this idea that you're supposed to be perfect, and that you're supposed to have it figured out, and that you're supposed to always be in alignment and be centered and be, when the truth is that you need, as if you've listened to Abraham Hicks, you know that you need contrast in order to determine what you desire and what you do want.
Right.
And you want to want. Desire is what causes you to express yourself individually and to expand in this world. Why else would we be here?
Yes. Exactly.
So that is.
If you could manifest instantly, you would just be in a big mess.
Yeah. You wouldn't notice the difference. That wouldn't be particularly enjoyable, because you wouldn't know the opposite of that.
Right.
And you need the duality. You need the duality. And you need, and striving for perfection is so counterproductive. It's so ineffective, and it's just not a reality. So that's just what I talk about in that part. So go ahead.
No, I'm listening.
Okay. E was the external locus of control. U is unconscious motivations. So we often have
motivations.
Benefits. Unconscious benefits.
Benefits.
Yeah. So we do things throughout our day. We make choices based on, always based on what will bring us more of what we want and what our values are, and less of what we don't want. So we're always being pulled in these two different directions. We're making our choices, right? So it's dictated by our highest values. If we have some of our highest values met by something that is actually something that we say we don't want. For instance, one of my highest values is to read all day.
Yeah.
So I was in I was in this situation. I put myself, obviously, in a situation where I also was then not spending enough hours of the day earning money, because I just wanted to read all day. But then I was mad that I wasn't making money. And so I was creating this cycle of, well, I'm not working enough, and yet I just want to read all day. So it's like I have this benefit of being in a situation where I could be a little bit dependent on somebody else so that I could read all day long. So that was a benefit. So my point being that I said I wanted to work more. I said I wanted to be more independent financially, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't let that happen, because I was receiving these benefits. That was one of my highest values, was being met by this. So there's a way, I go through a process with people, that there's a way to receive your benefits in full, the highest values that you want in your life, the things you value the most, and accomplish those things that you know are best for you individually, your spirit,
right?
Which is to earn the money.
Earn the monday that's going to get you
more
new clothes,
that kind of thing.
New
like
bike,
survival,
new house.
Yeah. So that we go through layers of that, because that is very important. And D
that should be a very interesting one.
Yeah, it is. And the D is default paradigm, and this is what your idea of normalcy is, based on your tribe, your home life, your family dynamics. You came out into the world in this environment, right? Your family, and then that became your normal. That's your set point. We've heard set point probably a lot, but that's your idea of what's normal. So then you go throughout your life with this belief structure based on that dynamic, that default paradigm that you just were born into.
Right.
And it could be so much more. If it's not serving you, it could serve you wonderfully. But if it's not,
I think about that often because I'm like, do I have to live in San Diego? Do I have, there's other options out there. I could be somewhere else, and that experience might be just different than where I'm at here. But San Diego's so beautiful. It's great. I'm doing exactly what you're talking about there. I'm like, well, this is already comfortable. This is already this, but this is just not the only piece of land on the planet.
Right. Yeah. That's so true.
It could be different somewhere else.
And this is your own little bubble of reality here, and we think that this is all there really is and that's all that needs to be. And that's fine too,
Well, then
if it's not serving you. But
it becomes to where you're holding on to something, because obviously I live in a beautiful place here. I mean, La Jolla is not bad to live in, no. And I've got a waterfall in my backyard, and I've got a great view, and all this stuff. But it's like, at the same time, what happens there is then you start guarding, right? And you're not open. Right? Because now you're tightening up because you're wanting to hold on to what you have. So there's no openness. It's really interesting what happens there.
You think, right. There is this sort of, there's an interesting balance. And I talk about this too on the second layer about, appreciating what is for all of its essence, everything about it, while also knowing that you've got to understand, and you'll get to this place upon reading the book if you haven't done the work before, is that there's an infinite amount of this beauty, this essence, this of what it is that you're so drawn to, and it's keeping you here. Right. So that's fine. And then lastly, is your orientation to the inevitables. And inevitables are always obstacles, always challenges. There's always going to be, like I was saying, the contrast. There's always going to be, I don't want to say struggle because that sounds so bad, but there's always going to be, nothing's going to be just handed to you on a silver platter. It's wonderful. I'm not here to promote a fantasy, that's not what it's about. So it's your orientation, your perception of those things, those challenges, those struggles, those obstacles, those are inevitable existence in your life. Your perception of them shifts so that they actually work in your favor. So then it's sort of like the positive and the negative start to blend together as one. I don't really see them any longer as separate. I can see the advantage to every even negative or challenging experience that I have. There's always a positive side. In the world of opposites, that's just a universal law.
Yes.
I mean, there's always a positive and a negative.
It's funny. So much thought going on today. I don't even know what's going on in my head. But I was thinking, like, after the conversation I just had with the gentleman earlier, Josh, I was kind of thinking, in this world, let's say I was brought up, for example, Donald Trump. Right? He was brought up with a wealthy father, and he was brought into this world, and he was successful, and he went on to continually be successful. And of course, that's an option. He could have screwed it all up and didn't get good grades and lost all the money that he inherited and so on and so forth. But he had his journey and the struggle and everything goes through that. And that's the quote unquote, Hollywood lifestyle we want to live, is we want to be rich like him and this and this. But then you have the people like ourselves who we didn't get granted the education. We didn't get granted. We had to kind of do the struggle and work through it, and we became successful in our own right. Right. The funny thing is those people up there that had that different life, those successful, they admire us, and then we go and we admire them because we both had to do the work, and we both were successful in our own right. Sure, theirs is 200 million or whatever, 10 billion or whatever.
But that's irrelevant.
Right. It's irrelevant. But I've seen a lot that, like, people that are much wealthier than I, like, Dennis, I admire you for what you're doing. And like, not just saying that for the fun of it, like, they're really asking questions and they're admiring, like, wow, I wish I kind of could be in that, because you're creating opportunity and you're doing different things and you've been an athlete and this and this. And then, but I'm like, I look at you and I go, well, dude, you own like 20 buildings downtown and you, so
I hear you.
And so we both have the same, we have the sameness. It's just in different form. That's exactly right. And in every, you made such a good point, because we have this idea, this concept that the other thing that you idolize or whatever, admire, is only positive experiences. You imagine them, like floating through the clouds practically, just because they have money. Money, of course, is advantageous. In their Learjet, yeah.
Yeah, right. But there's always, I guarantee you, they're met with the same amount of, in as far as quantity, maybe not degree, of challenges on a daily basis. there's never a point where you reach a place where it's 100% bliss.
Yep.
You know. So and then you've had opportunities that they would never even been able to even conceive of because you've had to learn through your way of getting along in life that they didn't have to deal with, but they see admirable. Yeah.
I've had a friend who has worked in several homes, like in their home, you know, whether it's serving food or doing different things, of people that are 20 million to $1 billion net worth. So they're in big homes. They have multiple homes. They have Lear jets, everything. And he will say to you that they are no happier than us. In fact, they seem more miserable than us. They're not as energized as out there. They're human beings just like us. He says you are not missing out on anything because their living room is 20,000 square feet. Right. That's the only difference. Right. And it's more to worry about. And
and sometimes it's actually more problems. Right. Yeah. The more you have. Not that having is wonderful as much as you want. Yeah. Also, I want to quickly just say something because it's relevant is when you say they're not happy, part of what people, and I emphasize this in the book, and I teach people, mentor people on how to cultivate this stronger in their lives, are the three, call them the 3 C's. It's your connection, your contribution, and your connection, contribution, and creativity. Those are the only 3 things that are truly, when you boil them down to the basics and the essence, what make you happy. When you can express your individuality through each of those, through your connections, through your creativity and your contribution. So there's an emphasis on those specific aspects of your life, and that equates. And this is all neuroscience evidence of this. There's more than that, but those 3 tend to be, I think, are the strongest.
Absolutely. You heard it, everybody.
Make you happy.
Creativity, connections,
and contribution. And I don't mean creativity like go out and like paint all day long.
No.
What your expression of creation, whatever that is.
Right. Creating could be, is right here. We're creating a great show for people to listen to. We're being really creative. We're not just nominally being here. So So we are way past our time by 12 minutes. What do you think? Flies by.
It goes by so fast.
Yeah. So we had a great conversation here today, much better than the last one. You happy?
Yeah.
And she was like, I want to do it again. I think we had this one was all value bombs all the way through, right? So, all right. So we have Lisa Marie Anzaldua here today, and she is an amazing human being, and she's got a book coming out, and hopefully you can find it at this.
I'm self-publishing, so it's going to be Amazon.
Okay. So what's the title they can be looking for?
Well, I know it's called the Arete process. Arete, the Greek word for achievement of excellence and virtue, excellence of any kind, and effective excellence, not just for no reason.
Love it. So when can we predict it'll be on Amazon?
I don't know. I know I'll have it on my website, which is Designed Empowerment.
DesignedEmpowerment.com.
Yeah. And then Amazon, I'm hoping within 2 weeks.
Awesome.
So,
2 weeks. You heard it, everyone. This probably won't come up for about 2 weeks. So just in time for this podcast to come out. So, all right. Thanks again. And everyone out there, listeners, we really appreciate all of you tuning in to listen to the 5-Minute Bark. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate all the comments and all the people coming up to me and say, hey, we had a good time listening to your podcast, and we try to continue to provide great content as we did here with Lisa Marie. So until next time, this is the 5-Minute Bark. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Dennis.
Bye.
Bye.
One critical thing highly successful people do is organize their goals and write them down. Success doesn't just happen to you, it's created by you. If you are ready to create a roadmap to greater success, you may want to listen to what I'm about to say. We have developed an online success platform that offers 6 critical tools for creating and implementing your success plan. If you're ready to turbocharge your personal development and success in every area of your life, it's time for you to join Team Cody Dog by visiting CodyDog.com. That's CODIEDOG.com.